Good evening, everybody. I said good evening, everybody. This is your boy Alvin coming to you again for another week of He Said, He Said, He Said. A look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I hope you guys have had a great week in DC. At least I can tell you that the weather is beginning to change and fall is my time of year and I am ready for it. And so I can tell you wherever you are, if you're coming to DC, pack a sweater, okay? Because the temperature will trick you and you'll be out in your little shorts and walking around and everything. And next thing you know, a breeze will come by and you in your hotel room coughing. And I'm just giving you forewarning. But anyway, how's everybody doing? It is Friday, the 24th of September. We have an amazing show for you tonight. We have been anticipating this show for a very long time, Breaking the Silence. And we have a very special guest here tonight. She is fun. She is fun. She is fun. Did I say fun 3 times? I'm going to say it one more time. She is fun. Dr. Debra Warner is here with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So be prepared for a great show. Again, our show tonight is Breaking the Silence. Well, I'm going to break the silence and bring in my co-host, ladies and gentlemen. So if I can I have Saladin there and Vash Bodhi to come on in here tonight?
Hello, y'all.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Guys, how you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Fantastic. I agree with you. It's fall weather. I love fall weather.
Mm-hmm. Fall is my time of year. I actually had like a really, really crazy week, but I have to say, getting from there to here has been a wonderful journey. So I am very happy tonight, and it is really good to see you guys. Anything happening in your week this week that was like, out of the norm or what?
Well, I was born yesterday, a long time ago. So I'm very thankful for another year of life on this beautiful earth. And I'm just, still celebrating and just very excited and happy to be here tonight.
Wait, did he say birthday?
I was born yesterday, a long time ago.
Did he say birthday?
I think he said that he had a birthday.
I think he said that he had a birthday. Hold on for 1 second. Hold on.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Saladin. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was wonderful. That was lovely.
Now I'm gonna blow out your candle because this is a brownie, and I don't know what it would look like on my teeth as we go through the show. So I'm not playing with it. Okay. Look at all these happy birthdays coming into you tonight.
I know. Who is in the house so far? We got William Hanford, who said he's just checking us out, I guess, for the first time. Welcome, William.
Hey, William. Welcome.
Monica.
Thank you, Alma. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Monica, and I see Alma. Ask Alma's in the house tonight.
Hey, Alma.
And Alvin and Vash. Last night I went to Ashford and Simpson's Sugar Bar on the Upper West Side, and Valerie Simpson sang "Happy Birthday" to me, and then we took a bunch of photos together. So I'll do a photo dump at some point tonight or tomorrow, so I can share them with everyone on the call tonight.
Fantastic.
Well, in my Southern voice, aren't you special? Aren't you special?
What I do declare.
Well, you do declare. Well, look, this is our part of the chat. That we get a chance to talk about something that's out there. And I have a question for you guys. How do you feel about remakes, like movie remakes or television remakes? How do you guys feel about it?
I have 2 points. One, if it's worth remaking, it's worth to go back and watch the original. But
exactly,
the remake of King Kong with Jack Black, that made me understand why Kong liked the Fay Wray character, and I fell in love with that movie, and I fell in love with Kong. So I'm on both sides.
Okay, well, I bring it up to you guys because I don't know if you've heard it or not, but the remake of The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston's movie from 1992, is out there, and they're talking about remaking The Bodyguard. Now, as far as my answer to the question, how do I feel about remakes? It depends, because they just did a remake of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. and they've changed it. I haven't seen it, but at least the trailer has me excited.
Okay.
But I bring this up because I heard that Lizzo wants to take the role of Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard. Now, I don't know if there's, again, this is rumor, it's all on the internet, and I've seen it. I don't know if it's true or not, but that made me say, you know what? I don't know if they should do that. I don't think.
I think that there is a creativity void in Hollywood and on Broadway, and people are more focused on their bottom line than they're more focused on a healthy bottom line than taking a risk on something where they can, reach a red line. But I think there is a creativity void. I love Lizzo. She's everything. I don't think that they should remake The Bodyguard, and I certainly don't think that Lizzo should play the Whitney Houston character. There are hundreds of kids at the NYU Film School, at Cal Arts, who are bubbling with new, creative, fun, vibrant, and smart ideas. They need to go to those schools, talk to those kids, give them contracts, and let them go forward. Now, if it's a book, I'm here for it. Like, I would love to see a film adaptation of Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, for example. So pick up a new book and read it and make a screenplay out of that. But all of these remakes, it's very boring. And I don't think, and I agree with Vash, like he made a good point about King Kong, but I think in most cases, the remake will never be as good as the original. So they need to focus on original content.
And my last comment on this matter, I'm going to tell you in terms of remakes, I do have a favorite. I am in love with Cinderella, okay? And I've only seen one version of Cinderella that I did not like. I have loved Cinderella from the beginning, the very first one when we had black and white TVs. I just love the whole, I love the whole story. So if they can keep making it and making it exciting, because I mean, I've seen it with different, races or what have you, I can appreciate that. But overall, make it different, make it exciting, and we can move through it. You know what I mean?
I do love the remake of Imitation of Life, the version of Lana Turner. I do enjoy that. I mean, although that was made, I think, back in 1957, but that's probably my favorite remake of a film.
I have to.
Alma says that remakes remind her of cheating on a test. Use your brain and come up with something similar. And Monica thinks that it's supposed to be Cardi B doing the Whitney Houston role. The Whitney Houston role as opposed to Lizzo.
Still, it is a what? No. It is a no. It is a no.
Alvin, no one can ever replace the woman who played Whitney Houston's sister when she had to break down and she went, "I never hurt Fletcher. I never hurt the baby." That is an iconic line. No one can replicate that. No one can say that line better than she can. So leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Okay, I agree. Thank you guys for indulging me on that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last week we gave you our fashion do's and don'ts for the VMAs and the Met Gala. Well, this week we're going to give you our do's. As you know, the Emmy Awards were this week. So we have picked a few folks that we thought was worthy of getting an A for us. So if we can run the reel, let's go to it. My first choice is Yara Shahidi. She put a modern spin on a timeless vintage inspired style. She looks gorgeous in this Kelly green off the shoulder gown courtesy of Dior. She paired it with $1 million 3-strand gold beaded necklace, these brown leather pumps, and she wore her hair slicked back in a tight chignon bun. For you fashionistas out there, you know what a chignon bun is, okay? So she gets my 4 C's: cute, clean, chic, and classic. And I applaud Lacey Redway, her stylist, for making all of this happen. Kudos to you, Yara Shahidi.
Saladin, you got a comment?
I think she looks absolutely stunning. The color is green. She looks beautiful. I love it.
And Vash?
Didn't Donna Reed wear something like this while she vacuumed?
She did.
She did, and she looked good doing it.
Okay, just checking that.
I'm just checking.
Okay,
Okay, and your point was what? What was your point? Hold on.
I think she looks really fantastic. I think she looks super cute, but I'm like, okay.
It was okay. Thank you for your opinion on that.
But I think she was also making a tuna casserole in that dress.
Okay, right.
I think so too. With an apron.
So my second top pick was Miss Kerry Washington, who dared to bear in a plunging, slinky satin dress that boasted a draped cowl neckline and a cinch corset by custom Etro. She completed the look with Stuart Weitzman shoes and De Beers jewelry for the glam. She had on her red lipstick, and she had a ponytail. Now, please note, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who know fabric, you can't just put this fabric on anybody and expect it to lay well. This is a very difficult fabric to deal with. And this lilac dress skimmed her entire body and made it look like a second skin. I gave her, an A+, and the corset for me nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think she looks fantastic.
Gorgeous.
Nailed it. And my third pick, ladies and gentlemen, the guys let me have a third pick, which I was very happy about it. I had to do it. My third pick, if the camera will roll, is season 13 winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, Simone. She redeemed herself at the 2021 Emmy Awards in one of my favorite designer dresses by Carolina Herrera. But most of the reason why I wanted to show Simone, not only for her beauty, but I also wanted to give kudos to RuPaul for making Emmy history as the most awarded Black artist of all time. Wow. He snagged the record-breaking win as an executive producer for RuPaul's Drag Race, and he beat out Nailed It, The Amazing Race, The Voice, and Top Chef. So in RuPaul's words, I'm going to say, you better work, and you all know the rest. Okay? Okay, so those are my three picks for my Emmy favorites.
Right on. I thought this is a fantastic dress, and I think Carolina Herrera is the fabulous designer.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
right.
Okay, thank you, Simone, for coming in correct this week.
She does look fantastic.
I was worried at those last two awards. I was like, she was even.
RuPaul picked up the phone and made a phone call on her behalf to get that Carolina Herrera gown. She looks stunning.
Yes.
All right, so this is one of my picks. This is Anya Taylor-Joy, who is most known for her role as Beth Harmon in The Queen's Gambit. I think she looks absolutely stunning in this canary cape. This for me, like Alvin mentioned Cinderella a few moments ago, I think this is a modern twist on a Cinderella gown. And I just thought that she looked absolutely wonderful. Her makeup, her beautiful chignon. And yeah, this is definitely one of my top picks.
What did the dress in front look like?
It's black and white, like a pencil dress, like very thin, kind of sculptural. But I really went crazy for the cape.
Fabulous. And the color is fabulous.
I'm glad you asked that, Vash, because I've skimmed through pictures. I haven't seen the front of the dress, but I'm also happy that Saladin commented on her makeup because it was a full package. You know, she came correct. I like that.
Yeah. I think she really looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who do we have next?
We're about to see.
I'm scared. Who did he pick? Oh,
okay. Here we have the legendary Taraji P. Henson looking absolutely stunning in this Elie Saab gown. For me, this is a throwback to the 1970s. It gives me very Studio 54. And I just have two words to describe this look, and that is high glamour.
Let's go back to her. My fault on that. Yeah, she looks fantastic. It's a really, go to the Emmys, go out to the after party.
Right.
Exactly. I gave her a high marks too. Because sometimes she can swing and not hit the ball. She hit the ball on this one. Yeah, she'll swing and all of a sudden it's a strike, but you're not sure. But she hit a home run on this one. Got it.
I agree. I concur.
Thank you.
So I picked this one. This is Emma Corrin, who plays Diana she plays Diana, Princess Diana, on the crown. And this controversial dress is really actually on a lot of people's worst dress list. But to me, what I see is a really strong political statement. It looks like she's one of the handmaidens from The Handmaid's Tale, with her blinder cut back and those gloves going to claws as a response to the Texas heartbeat bill saying we are no longer blind and we are turning into Catwoman ready to fight. And I love the statement that this dress is making.
Nice.
I do.
I love the dress, but Vash, you took me to all these different places with the dress. I was like, I mean, literally, if this picture could move, I was ready for her to crawl across that red carpet because when you said the nails, because I do like that she pushed the envelope and her accessorizing the dress with the gloves, with the nails. I gave her high marks on that too.
I see full political statement. And people are saying, thank you, Greg. I mean, yes, fashion in these last couple of runways have become political. And I see what you guys are doing with Miu Miu. I really do. And I love it.
Miu Miu, okay, you get it.
I know I had to look up how to say Miu Miu. Miu Miu.
Just prick the lips.
This is Allison Janney and Azianosta. I just thought that she looked super elegant. I mean, perhaps you guys know people who have this dress in their closet, but I still thought that she looks fantastic. And I love Allison Janney, and I just thought it was crisp.
I love her too.
And clean. I love the tassel.
Yeah, I think it's so great. Like it's a youthful dress, but it's also very age appropriate for her. Yeah. She's also a very tall woman, so I just think that this look, it's not only youthful, but it's glamorous. It's very well structured, but there are also layers and flow to it. So I think she looks fantastic.
I gave her high marks too. No, I really thought that. And what people probably can't see is it is fringe on that dress. And the fringe, that piece of accessory was A+. So thank you guys.
Let's see if we can get close up on that.
Can you get close up on it?
That's as close as we can get. But I thought, yes, I think we did it. Did a nice job on that.
She did that. So thank you again, guys, for that. And ladies and gentlemen, those were our Emmy picks. Of course, there were a whole bunch of well-dressed people there that night, but this is who we have selected. So if you guys are ready, you guys ready? Because I've been waiting to bring our guest on, and I'm ready to talk about this topic. And she can let us know more about breaking the silence. But our special guest is a leading forensic psychologist, popular keynote speaker, trauma expert, training professional, and author. She addresses diverse topics including PTSD, multicultural therapeutic techniques, gang intervention, prison reform, human trafficking, substance abuse, relationships, and mental health. She's also a male trauma expert, spouse of a male survivor, and author of His Story, Her Story, a survival guide for spouses of male survivors of sexual abuse and trauma. She has a doctorate in forensic psychology from Alliant International University in Fresno, California. She received her Master's of Arts and Master's of Education in Counseling Psychology from Columbia University Teachers College in New York City, and has served as an adjunct professor for several universities and a lead faculty for Chapman University's Marriage and Family Therapy program. She currently is a professor for the Los Angeles campus of the Chicago School of Professional Psychology in Clinical Forensic Psychology. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the He Said stage, Dr. Debra Warner.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, Debra.
You guys' energy always makes me happy, but you guys didn't do any hams. You didn't hear anything. The hot ass mess.
This time it was all about celebrating the best.
Right.
Oh,
all
okay.
10s. We're celebrating all 10s. 10s.
Yeah,
All 10.
Yeah.
I can go with that, except for the Handmaid's Tale girl. She scared me.
I think that was the goal. That was the goal.
Debra, you notice I didn't comment because she made me hungry for some vanilla pudding or banana cream pie.
All I saw was the nails, and I said what I had to say, and I kept it moving. I gave her a 10 because my Vash gave her a 10. Okay.
Same.
That's right. And if Vash gives a 10, she's a 10.
She's
Exactly.
a 10. She's a
That's
10.
right.
Debra, thank you for being here tonight, and especially to talk about this very important topic.
Yeah.
I've been following you. I've been following you since Vash mentioned you to us 2 months ago. So, girl, you light a stage up. Okay, so that's all I can. So I'm glad to have you here. You bring fire behind you. So I'm excited to have this conversation tonight. So thank you.
Well, I'm excited to be here. So I've been like, you can tell from my Instagram post and all that. Like every day I'm like, oh, it's almost there. It's almost there.
You have been seriously rocking promotion for the show, and it's so thrilling. I just want to jump in because, we have a lot to talk about. So, Dr. Debra, what do you mean when you say male trauma?
Oh boy, that's a big question. But there's a difference in how trauma manifests in men versus women, because in our society, if you listen to my TED Talk, I talk about it a little bit. Men are socialized very, very differently. And they're socialized to be everything in this world, to be the top athlete, the entrepreneur, the top executive, to do everything to achieve and succeed, right? But if something traumatic happens to a man, you usually say, well, suck it up, or, you could have fought them off, or, you could have just done something different. And no one ever sees that maybe that traumatized person who's a male was a little kid, or maybe, they couldn't have done anything. But if a woman says that, you immediately go into, oh, she's a victim, she's a survivor. But the men are too. And so men are silenced by that stigma that's in society. And that causes a whole nother plethora of problems with men in our society.
Well, I mean, we sort of get a little bit of that with this Gabby Petito going missing, and sort of the world stopping trying to find this woman, whereas there's a male that's missing, a male, doctor student, medical student that's gone missing, and no one's really talking about him. I mean, we sort of see that sort of thing happening.
I agree with you. And they found one gentleman today. I think his last name is Day. He was in a doctoral program at his university.
The dude.
They found him. I'm sorry, they found his body. I saw that in the news. So
and that happens a lot. It happens a whole lot. And if they would have just looked sooner, or they would have not had the stigma in our society, they maybe would have looking at the same equal amount of effort. Right. And maybe they could have found him, and it's unfortunate because well, he's a guy, he can take care of himself. He's stronger. He's a stronger sex, but it's like, no, maybe he's not. Or maybe, he's been socialized differently. You don't know. And to make those assumptions just to gender is also being prejudiced with gender. And people don't realize that.
Yeah. So within trauma, what are some of the signs of male trauma in an individual?
Oh boy, men don't talk. I know it sounds like a cliche.
Well, not for this show.
I know, especially with us.
Let me rephrase that. Men don't talk about deep things that really trouble them, right? And so, like, an example is like, if I can tell you, even with my husband, because the book His History, Her Story. Like, I always know when something's bothering my husband, right? Because he clams up. But you have to let men come to you when they want to talk to you. If they don't want to talk about it, they're not going to talk about it, right? And especially a traumatized man. If this has happened and you've been told, oh, this is bad, this is something that you could have prevented, you've been told all these things, right? And then you open up to somebody. And if a man does that one time and then someone laughs at him, doesn't believe him, right? They're never going to tell you again, because it's very hard for men to discuss emotion because of how we've been socialized, right? So men who are traumatized tend to be more silent. And also a lot of the behaviors that come about that are reckless behaviors. A lot of times you have people with substance abuse, which can be with women, but a lot of times it's more reckless. You always think, if a man's going to hurt himself, it's more violent. It usually is. Right. And so people don't, a lot of people want to think, oh, it's okay because he's not saying anything.
Is there a sense of guilt or shame attached to that also, Dr. Warner?
Yes, there's a tremendous amount of shame. There's a lot of shame research out there with men and male trauma. And it's because, they don't want to admit what happened because they think they could have stopped it, because that's what society has said. That is what their family has said, that, and it's like, no, you couldn't have stopped it. One of the things I do when I work with patients is that I say, okay, so when did this happen to you? They could be like 10 years old, right? And I take out one of those little pencils you get when you're filling out a voting box, and I take out a pen that's big. And I said, so this is your perpetrator and this is you. Could you have stopped it? And just doing that at that moment helps people realize, oh my God, like there was nothing I could do. No, the adults in your life should have protected you or should have listened to you. Right. And so that shame becomes blame. Right. It turns into something else and they blame themselves. Not only do they blame themselves for everything in their life that is negative because they're bad, they're dirty. That shame turns into all of these balls of negative emotion. And it takes a lot of therapy to go through that. That's why a lot of male trauma survivors will want to overly please you, because they don't want to be seen as bad. They want to be seen as accepted.
Right. Right. And Dr. Debra, as Alvin indicated in your introduction, your husband is actually a survival of male trauma. Is he part of the reason you've established your practice around working with men and inmates, or can you describe what drives your passion around supporting men and inmates who are victims of trauma?
It is him. One of the reasons I even wrote the book is because he told me to. It's because he said, you can tell a story where people will listen. We're silenced in this world. Right. And we're silenced because I'm a guy and no one's going to listen to me. And he's like, but if you say it, they're going to stop because you're a woman telling a story of a man. Right. And I remember the day that I made the Script Conference, which is a conference for male survivors and trauma where we celebrate the resilience of male survivors. The reason I co-founded that conference because my husband, he would get into these things like, you don't hear me, you don't listen to me. I'm like, dude, you're 300 pounds. I hear you, I see you, right? But I was like, okay. I said, I can't do anything small. I can't. Everything is big. I'm a diva, right? So I said, fine, I'm going to make a whole conference and the whole world's going to celebrate your resiliency. So the next year I had a conference and I stood up there and I said, this is my love letter to you. So every year you can understand, I hear you, I see you, I know the pain you're going through. And every year you have all these people here to support you and all the male survivors out there who are not heard.
Right.
Get to thank him because of his.
Yeah.
And for our viewers who don't know, SCRIPT is an acronym for Summit on Community, Resilience, Intervention, Prevention, and Training that Debra co-founded. Can you speak more about the mission of SCRIPT and apprise our audience of the resources that are available to them and how they can actually get involved?
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that. And thank you for saying the acronym, because even though I co-founded the conference, I always forget what it means. Oh. And so I always just go SCRIPT. When I did my TED, I went SCRIPT and I pointed to the screen because it was behind me. And the audience didn't know. I just really couldn't say what it was.
That's hilarious.
I shouldn't be laughing like, okay, but I get it. I get it.
Right. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So SCRIPT was founded, the mission of SCRIPT is really to have a place that people can come and get training. But SCRIPT is a conference in reverse. So you have all of these people that are consumers or who are ex-gang members, who are mothers or fathers, right, on the same panels as the mayor's office, as the FBI, Homeland Security, people who've been trafficked, and they are talking about the issue, but the consumers are telling the professionals what they need versus the professionals telling you what you're going to get.
Got it.
And so SCRIPT is always free to the community. I have been blessed by A Better LA, which is Pete Carroll's organization, to fund me, and USC, who's my partner, which it will be next year, to be putting this conference on for free. We're in, I think, almost our seventh year this year. And it has been free. It has had a turnout. We've had over 400 people every year. It is just an amazing 2 days of training. We have, because when we're live, we have 8 rooms with a session in there at every hour for 2 days. So I usually have about 164 sessions going on for free to the community. And we did one on active shooting, and you got a certificate from the police department. And yeah, it's really cool.
So
When
with
you
the
say
conference,
active
you guys actually flipped the script because, again, you said that the people who are survivors are actually presenting to medical professionals and telling them
Yeah.
the type of
Mm-hmm.
resources and support that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
we also get professionals saying what's out there, but they're doing it together. So I even pair people in the community with people who are getting the resources, and everybody's on a first name basis. You could be doctor with all these alphabets after your name. You're still, that's why I go by Dr. Debra, but because people call me that, but you're still Debra, or you're still Frank. I mean, I remember, Chief Chow was there and he was Blake. I said, this is Blake. And then he's the chief of police. We were streaming with the FBI this year. Everybody with a first name basis.
Well, it's very needed. Debra, I want to ask you, since this is the topic of our show tonight, what do you mean by breaking the silence?
Letting men speak, hearing them. That is the thing. It's because men will go underground. Men will not talk about this because it's taboo. No one wants to hear that a man was sexually abused by another man or by a woman. They're like, oh, that didn't happen. Those are just boys being boys. Or didn't you just get broken in early by a woman? These are the things you hear, right? Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that a boy who's been beaten his whole life, and maybe no sexual abuse happened, but abuse happened. And they think, oh, nothing happened to you. Why didn't you learn to fight, right? Because you don't understand the trauma cycle. You don't understand the abuse cycle. They can't, or they don't know how. If you've never been taught anything different, why would you do anything different?
Right.
So I guess the question becomes, why do we need to talk about it?
So it stops. That's how you break it. You talk, it stops.
I'm a black and white kind of guy. So thank you. I'm a black and white. You know what I'm saying? And it was you just like railed back and slapped me in the face. That was the only answer that I could imagine you would say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and actually talking about it sort of breaks the cycle of normalization of it, because it seems like people have grown to just sort of almost, I don't want to say accept it, but it's sort of that boys will be boys kind of thing. That's sort of like, well, perpetrators are going to perpetrate.
Men will be men. I hear that one a lot.
I think does homophobia also play into men not talking about their abuse?
Yes. And I try to tell them abuse has nothing to do with sexuality, right? And it's very hard for people to understand that, especially if they were perpetrated with a man or multiple men. And they're like, well, I'm not attracted to men. I said, well, you don't have to be, but this happened to me, because that's the blame and the shame going in, right? Or they could be gay. And then they say, well, it's because I was gay. And I'm like, no, the two don't really go together. And I, when I work in corrections, or I work with, having the court understand a male survivor, right? One of the things is I get to tell that story and have them understand, that sexuality has nothing to do with this, because there's a lot of that within the systems that we work in. And being able to explain that gives people such voice and such power. It's like, it's amazing to see a survivor, just those weights come off of them when someone just believes them.
Dr. Debra, I know that, like, when we hear trauma, for me, I instantly think about some form of abuse, whether it's physical or sexual. But can trauma also be nuanced? Meaning, could there be a situation where perhaps a young boy was raised by a single mother, and there were men in his family, and instead of them abusing him, the abuse came via completely ignoring him, right?
Yes.
Let's say, for example, like none of the men in his family wanted to have anything to do with him. Can that also be a form of trauma or lead to trauma in adulthood?
That's called neglect. It's called emotional abuse. It's called ignoring. It's the same as locking someone in a closet.
Right.
There is so much emotional scarring from ignoring somebody because you don't feel you're heard or valued. Right? It's like laying a baby in a crib and the baby's crying its head off and you never come pick it up. Imagine what that does. It means my needs aren't met, my voice is not heard, and you don't care.
Right.
Thank you, Saladin, for asking that question. And I grew up in a home where there was a lot of abuse, not sexual abuse. And my mother was physically abused. And what I got from that, which I learned later, I am no stranger to therapy, was the trauma that I received from that was that I equated love with anger.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until later on in my life when I couldn't keep a relationship and I was thinking, what is the problem? It was that if it wasn't chaos in the relationship, then there was no love in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I overcame that trauma, it was only then that I was able to be in a healthy relationship or be in a relationship where I knew what was going on and I was no longer in that situation. But I went through that trauma as a kid right into my adulthood.
Well, yeah, you had a parenting style that was very, you know, authoritative, you know, and basically love and hate became fused. That's where the confusion is, right? And so it was very disorganized for you as a child. And so you're like, it's my mom. I'm supposed to love them, right? But yet they beat me and she gets beaten and this isn't love. So you're confused as a kid. So when you go pick partners, you do the same thing. You repeat it. I saw your triggers show. I saw that and I was like, oh my God, you know, I just wanted to say thank you for telling me your story, because I saw that and I was like, these are triggers. It's going to go through your whole life and it's a cycle. But the fact that you're recognizing them, and that is what is going to change this, right? And people do not realize those little bitty things in your environment can shape your whole life and who you pick as a spouse and who you pick to be in a relationship with.
God. So
Well, that takes us to coping mechanisms. What are some of the coping mechanisms that people engage to deal with this trauma or these traumas?
A lot of dysfunctionality. Some of it is alcohol. Not that I just saw you with your glasses. Okay, I'm just saying. Chuck. But you know, substance abuse, avoidance. You know, a lot of people become hypersexual, or they don't have sex at all. Right? I've heard of people in relationships who never have sex throughout their marriage because it's too scary. I've heard of people who have sexual addictions. I have heard of just about every type of coping skill that you can have. You can have eating disorders. You can have where you get yourself sterilized because you don't want to have kids and put them in that environment, not realizing you can just leave. Right? Because that's not an option. You've never been taught it. No one's ever did it. This is how my family did it. This is how my mother did it. This is how my father. You're going to keep doing the same cycle till you break it. Right? So the coping skills, there's a lot of dysfunction until you get help. And that's a lot of therapy and talking. But again, it's hard for men to open up like that. It's hard for men to talk about these things because they're taboo. Even men listening to this now will get triggered from what I'm saying. And I know that. And I'm sorry. And I apologize. So turn it off, come back, because that's a trigger warning. Right?
Don't turn it off. Stay with
I'm
us.
sorry. Pause. Because you want
she has something for
pause.
you. Okay.
Right. But Dr. Debra, to your point, you know, when you're invited to prisons to evaluate inmates, or, you know, even when you're engaged by a new client, I imagine that you're on the receiving end of a lot of resistance, right? So what type of exercises do you do in order to prime either your inmate clients or your private clients in order to help them to open up and trust you?
I'm human. I treat them with humanity. You know, I tell people this story, but everything I had in my office when I used to see patients was pink. And I had pink pens. I had pink Hello Kitty stuff. I had a pink like shades. I had all this pink stuff. And they're like, why? I said, well, don't you like coming in here and laying on it? Yeah. And then I would sit there and have a conversation about how soft it was. It broke the ice, right? But then I would listen, and all of a sudden they would just tell me something like my uncle. And I'm like, and I would shut my mouth. And I talk a lot. And I cross my legs. And I always carried nuts and water in my pockets. I had these big pockets in this coat. And I would just let them keep talking. Because if you shut a male survivor down when they disclose, they'll never tell anyone again. And then the one thing you can do, no matter how small it is, it's when a male survivor discloses to you, is that you say, I believe you. And then you say, thank you for telling me your story. Because they didn't have to share that with you.
Right.
right? But saying I believe you will go so far in getting more information and getting them to open up more, because they probably have never been believed, or they thought they would never be believed.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Warner, I know, we all know that you like working with men, but especially inmates. Tell us a little bit more about that.
You know, it's interesting because I have worked with women. I like to work with really severe cases, like the ones you see on TV, like the Hannibal Lecter type. Like literally, I've had patients that are in cages. Like okay, and so that's just my thing. But there's something about when I talk to males that I can relate to. A lot of people say I think more like a male. I look like a Barbie and I think like a guy. That's what I hear all the time. But I get it. I get that silence. I get those looks. I get those glances, and I'm able to just sit in it. I remember I had one client that I literally sat with him. Can you imagine playing Monopoly for months? He was a juvenile client. I literally played Monopoly for 4 months without a word.
I can't.
Yeah, it was hard. Okay. And but after that, the client opened up to me, right? And it was having that patience and understanding and not forcing them to speak to me, not saying you can only come here if you talk to me, you're wasting my time. No, because any interaction I have is different than what you have, because it's different. You're not playing ball, you're with me right now, right? So anything is going to cause a change.
Right.
So that's the difference. And so why do I navigate to that? I feel comfortable there. And you want to go do therapy, you want to work in environments where you feel comfortable, because guess what? The clients feel comfortable with you, right? So that's why I work with men. I work with men in prisons. But the biggest benefit is I get to tell their stories. And I get to tell their stories from someone who they seem as not threatening. I get to go to court for them. I get to speak for them. Before I got on this call today to talk to you, I had a male survivor call me. I had met him at a book signing, and he told me his entire life story while I was signing these books. And I remember telling him, I gave him some referrals, and I remember telling him, you need to just be you, and that's okay. He took those words. Now he's doing a podcast. He got himself in treatment. He's going to get his doctorate in divinity.
Wow.
He's probably listening today. I mean, it made me smile from ear to ear. And I said, please let me know your journey, because I'm heading out of hair and makeup to go jump on this. But I want to hear more from you, And he just started laughing. He goes, that is something that you would be doing as I call you. Good
for him.
But those little nuggets and rewards, is why I do it. I had this, it changed my day. It changed it.
Wow. That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It makes me ask you, what are you most proud of in your career?
Oh, God. I could say script. I could say writing the book with my son, writing it with my daughter. But, in my career, the book I wrote, Barbara and My Boys, that book took at least 7 years for me to write, because I had to sit down with all of these ex-gang members and earn their trust. And then I got them to tell me their stories and write it down and trust me to do it. And I got to do data to show what they do on the streets as ex-gang members in community intervention makes a difference. And that trust, because they would come every month and meet with me at the school, this big old institution, and they would sit there and tell me, and I would be transcribing with 2 other students and writing it down. And I remember I thanked them, and they said, you don't seem to understand this. You can say something I can't say, but we're only a reflection of you. We're a reflection of your heart.
It seems like men tell you this constantly, that no one is going to believe us and our story. And that's troubling to me, that we don't believe men when they tell us what is going on with them and what's on their minds.
Yeah, it's sad. But that's why you have all these men who are having these issues, who are depressed, or who, the highest rate of suicide is middle-aged. Right. And it's wow. And it's very bizarre. And it's because they feel they can't tell anyone, they can't talk about it. No one would believe the depression that they're having, or that they're in a midlife crisis. the way I sound, it sounds stressful, doesn't it? It sounds overwhelming.
It does. I mean, it truly sounds like we're not, men have a very, very steep set of criteria to live up to in order to be considered men.
Yeah.
This gender of men. So that seems a definite reflection. I hope we can change that.
I do too.
For a long time, after the start of the Me Too movement, I started having issues with that because I felt like every time a guy did something, he was just labeled wrong. It was his fault. And so for a minute, I was a little like put off by the whole Me Too movement that was starting, because no matter whatever a guy did, he was accused before he was found guilty right from the start. And it was, and so I had a problem with that. And so I still don't know how to talk about it and not be sensitive or try to be politically correct, because I'm not trying to offend anybody. But that whole Me Too movement, it just displayed that.
It was very emotionally charged for a lot of people. It especially people of color. It was really hard, especially when Terry Crews came out and people were like, oh, that didn't happen. And I remember my friend Chris Anderson, who at the time was the head of Male Survivor, said to someone, a man will never say that if it's not true.
It takes a lot to say that. And it is true. It's happened to me. So I was happy that he came forward and said something about it. Yeah. I'm a little jealous that he let them do it.
And Dr. Debra, you also, in one of your TED Talks or something that I read about you online, I either heard or read something that gender changes consent. And, when I was 16 years old, I had a girlfriend that was 28. And at 17, I had a girlfriend that was 27. No one ever said anything. It was totally fine. But if you reverse the genders, if I was a 16-year-old girl dating a 28-year-old man, it would have been a problem. Same as if I was a 17-year-old girl dating a 27-year-old man, it would have been a big problem. Can you just talk about the impact of gender, or just elaborate on how gender can change consent?
It can't. I mean, but in our eyes in this society, we look at that differently. We look at, oh, you're just starting them young, and these are things you hear. And, I remember a political pundit even said something like that, which drove me nuts. Right. And it's just sad because it doesn't change. You have to look at the age. Right. And if the age of consent is 18 in this country, what does it matter what the gender is? They're going to have the same trauma. Trauma is trauma, right? Even though the problems may manifest differently in men and women, there are certain sets of traumatic things that happen to you that is just trauma. So why not just stop the trauma? Right. But people believe, well, he's 14 and she's 18. That's not a big deal. But if it was the other way around, or if it was a 56-year-old man with a 17-year-old girl, you would be labeling him a dirty old man. But it's a 57-year-old woman with a 16-year-old kid. You're going to do nothing about it?
Right. Not cool.
How is that okay? That person is going to have so many trust issues. They're going to have issues with women. They're going to have issues with men. They're going to have issues with people not protecting them. The list goes on and on. So it doesn't change. It does not change consent. And what it does is causes a lot of problems. It's a narrow-minded way of thinking.
Yeah. So Dr. Warner, why is this your mission?
This is what God told me to do. People ask me that a lot. And whenever I try to do something else, it doesn't work out. And that propeller's gone. I have this propeller in my chest that navigates me to this. And I don't know, I would maybe be a jazz singer, but God didn't give me those pipes, so I can't do that.
But he gave you the looks, darling.
Okay. And the charisma. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
But this is all I know how to do. This is it.
Hold on. Someone asked a question about attending the conference. Gregory Franklin wanted to know, can anyone attend the Scripps conference?
Anyone can attend. It is free to the public. Anyone who wants training and free training can come to the Script Conference. It's going to be in July. It's going to be at USC this year. We've been on Zoom, but USC is going to open their campus to us this year. We are going to do a call for papers, which will come out in January or February. So please follow the Script Conference on Instagram or go to thescriptconference.com and find that out, or look for all my information that I'm sure you guys have. And you can apply to speak at the Script Conference. And even if you don't know what you want to talk about, contact me. I get you help, because everybody has something to say. I want people to feel heard.
Nice.
Wonderful.
So what new products do you have coming up?
Oh my gosh. I have my online university, the Listen and Love University, that you can go to, which is actually has courses on all 3 of my books. I just finished a course on active shooter training that is out there. And so you can learn what to do in an active shooter situation. And I have decided that one of the things I want to do is be able to give training to people all year long. And you can also eventually, when COVID lifts, go on a tour with me in different countries and talk about these topics. So the active shooter training, first one will be in France, working with people in that government to be able to talk about how the differences are in culture, which is really neat. So you can go and look at the Listen and Love University and get my books that are on Amazon, and then also go take the course and be able to extend that learning.
Well, Dr. Warner, we have unfortunately reached our time with you because we could talk to you all day long,
All night.
all night long. I mean, this is a very important topic, and I know that I'm taking something away from it, and so I'm sure that our viewers are as well. So I'm going to say, first of all, thank you for being here tonight. Don't go anywhere, because guess what? We want to make sure that our viewers know a little bit more about you. So Vash has prepared a little game that he wants to play with you, called Rapid Fire.
Oh,
Are you ready?
Yes,
I guess
you
so.
are ready.
I guess
I bet you are ready. Okay.
Yes. So I want you to just get connected to yourself, your past, your present, your future. Deep breath. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. They are intended to have short answers, but you may take as much time as you would like. Are you ready?
I'm
Dr.
ready.
Debra, for rapid fire.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. So, to create va-va-voom for you, is it eyes, lips, or nails?
Eyes.
Fantastic. What's your favorite band?
Oh, Leonard Skinner.
Ooh. What was your favorite class during your education?
I choir, maybe.
What's your favorite board game?
Oh, any kind of Trivia Pursuit, because I always win.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
What is your favorite meal that you prepare?
Oh, I cook everything. Oh my
Yes, you
God. Geez. God, I cook everything. But I don't know. I guess my son loves my lasagna.
Ooh, lasagna's good.
Ooh, okay.
What is your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
I knew it. I had an idea.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, both. I am a Trekkie and I love Star Wars. I have all the clothes and everything. But oh my God, yeah. No, Star Trek though is up there.
Who do we have to thank for introducing us?
Oh, Greg Franklin.
Hey, Greg.
Hi,
Hey,
Greg.
hey, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
What has been your favorite Halloween costume?
Catwoman. Oh, and Jessica Rabbit.
Ooh.
I can see that. Okay.
I'm a costume freak.
I get it. I get it. Mhm.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
I don't like candy. Maybe Reese's peanut butter cups.
The mini ones. Those have
The mini
the
ones.
best balance.
The sugar-free, yeah.
Yes. What is your favorite class to teach?
Oh, I love teaching psychopathology and blowing their mind with all my case examples.
Quick description of psychopathology.
It's about describing like who someone is and telling them the diagnosis and giving an example of it, like cannibals, like what that means.
Fantastic. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh my God, probably the Hulk.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Hulk smash. Hulk smash.
I'll drink to that.
Just a few more questions. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
I like the turkey.
You like the turkey? The turkey's the main dish.
Yes.
Okay. Who is your GBFF?
GBFF?
Gay best friend?
Oh, you.
I like that. Sorry, Greg. And last question. Whose birthday is Sunday?
Me!
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes, Libra season.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Thank you, Vash. Thank you, Dr. Warner, again for joining us tonight. Dr. Warner, please stay on. We are wrapping up, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that you have enjoyed our show tonight, Breaking the Silence. Dr. Warner, you have been exceptional, and we are so happy that you have joined us. Happy birthday to you, beautiful woman. Happy
Yes,
birthday.
thank you. And I forgot my podcast, Heart to Heart, is coming out.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. So we'll have to link you.
Yes.
And everyone.
We have to make sure. Next week, and those of you who we did not say it, but Dr. Warner is part of our Manage Your Health series. And we're going to continue that next week on October 1st with a very special guest by the name of Corey George, author and mental health practitioner. And our topic is Triumph Over Adversity. So please tune in next week at 7 o'clock. And join us because it's really going to be another great show. And I want to offer our words of the week this week. And Dr. Warner, you inspired me when I went looking for this. I was inspired after looking at your videos. The words of the week are: the world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of good people. And this was an unknown. So Dr. Warner, thank you again for being with us tonight. We couldn't have done this show without you. And I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, guys, we got a couple of more minutes, but I'm sorry, about a minute before we have to sign off. And I want to send another special happy birthday to Saladin. I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but I'm sure it's going to be something that I'm going to see online. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Many things.
Many things. Thank you to our guests, our guests who have commented tonight. Please do everything that you can to contact Dr. Debra Warner. Go online, look her up. I'm telling you, she is fire. Okay. I'm still, my feet are still burning from listening to that TED Talk. I'm just like, what? I'm like, what? And to have you on the show is truly a blessing. So again, thank you for being here. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week at 7 o'clock on He Said. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.